Showtime!
It's about that time.
Let's go!
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah!
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor.
All right. What is the deal? What's going on, folks? Yeah, we are here, man. We are here. GCOM Radio. GCOM Radio. Of course, I'm your host, Nova Phoenix, on GCOM Radio on iHeartRadio. And we are here for another episode to give you guys some talking subject matter to go along with whatever is happening in your ride, whoever's in your car, whoever's at your home, whoever is at your office. The cool ones, though, not the jackasses, the cool ones that you say, hey, man, I was listening to this dude on GCOM Radio and he brought up some interesting points, or maybe not, and then you just want to talk about it anyway to people at your job. Anyway, how has your week been, man? How's everybody been? Hopefully it's been productive, learning lessons that have come up for your week, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what life is all about. And I'm coming here, and as I said from before, I was hitting a lot of Thursdays, but I'm hitting you Wednesday. This week on a Wednesday, fresh and early. So what's going on? All right, so we're going to get going with this, and I'm loving my new mic. I have to get used to this mic a little bit. I probably need to jump the gain. Let me see something right quick. Excuse me, folks. Hold on. Because I was having some issues before. Let me just pop the gain up a little bit. And all right, I think that would be better. All right, because I want to put up the gain a little bit more, so I could come in real nice. Because when I recorded the last time, I'm like, why am I coming in so super low? And anyway, all right, so let's get going. I just got a couple of topics that I want to speak to you guys before I go on out, because I'm doing some other things as well, as I always do from week to week. I finally got my social media. My sponsorship manager, man, I locked one down. Finally, I'm looking forward to working with this individual. I'll give you more information later because we haven't really signed on the dotted line to move forward. But no, everything is verbal, and I think it's going to be a beautiful journey when we actually get this show going. So I thought, as I said before, important to have a sponsorship manager to really get the right people that can work with me on the show. And hopefully I'm looking forward to doing even more shows, probably every 6 months, probably every year. I don't know. Whatever is practical and feasible and what can work. But I'm looking forward to it because I think it's a great promo tool to use to really build the brand and reach out to people and to really not just reach out as far as getting the word out, but actually being face to face with folks and chopping it up with them and chopping it up with like-minded folks and really finding out who they are, their background, their passion, their expertise, and really seeing how they can help build Lyfeblood.com, and not just on the crowdfunding side, but as in other ways that I want to do Lyfeblood.com. So anyway, let's get this started. So, man, the biggest news that's happening right now. Oh yes, man. So it's on everywhere. Everybody's circulating it on social media, on Twitter, on IG, and the news is talking about it. So we have about several thousand Haitian migrants that's coming from the Del Rio Bridge. They're coming over from Mexico. Did not know that a lot of the folks, which makes sense once you hear the story, a lot of Haitians left Haiti and is going through Mexico to try to get into the United States for obvious reasons, because the earthquake that they had, the assassination of their president, their infrastructure is just tore up. They never really rebuilt Haiti from the first earthquake that happened, and they got hit with another earthquake, and it's in shambles. The whole country, the whole Haiti is in shambles, and of course, people are trying to get out to have a better life with their families. And so you have at the Del Rio Bridge about say 10,000, they're saying, or more Haitian migrants, but Unfortunately, they've been rounding these people up, and United States is turning them right back. And actually, not even turning them right back. They are grabbing folks up, corralling them and sending them on planes back to Haiti. Now, this is terrible. This is just bad business for the Biden administration, everything that they talked about. Because remember, they did this to the Mexican, quote, I think the caravan or whatever, South Americans that were doing the same thing, and they were keeping them at the border. They were caging the children, the kids didn't have blankets, and it was horrendous. It was inhumane. They were trapping them up at the border in these facilities, and everybody was like, "See, that's how Trump gets down. That's how Trump gets down." Bop, 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 bop. So they were just laying it on thick on Trump. Now look at this. Look at this. This is with the Biden administration. What people have voted for. What people were getting behind. They were saying, "Oh my God, this guy he's going to just do all these great things and it's going to be fantastic." And look what he's doing. He's doing the same thing that Trump is doing, but he's doing, of course, he's doing it to the Haitians. So it was okay. And it's funny how things kind of work out because, of course, on the tail end of this Afghanistan war, the debacle that was going on there, the Republicans were saying that it was not handled correctly. We shouldn't leave, all these Afghan people that they were clamoring and clawing onto these airplanes, military airplanes that were flying out. I mean, you could see the video of them dropping out of the sky. And then all of a sudden Biden says he wants to go to Congress and cut them off something and bring these Afghan migrants into the United States. So I think it was going for about 95,000 Afghans. And I think it was a couple of $100 million that Biden was going to ask from Congress and want to give them about a little over $2,000, setting them up in B&Bs, trying to give them a smooth transition into these United States of America, of course. So because, America is nice like that. Well, they did that for the Afghans, but apparently the Haitians are just way too dark to really let them into the country. Okay, so they're turning them back. I mean, they're throwing them on Spirit Airlines, whatever airlines that they're doing it, and sending them right back to Haiti. Now, let me tell you something. The hypocrisy of the whole thing, not just in terms of how people were trying to compare Biden to Trump, but also on what happened with the first earthquake. Now, remember in the first earthquake, it was terrible. Everybody wanted to help the Haitians. There were organizations from all over that wanted to send, goods and clothes and food and all these things over to Haiti. And you had, of course, the American Red Cross raising money, this national fundraising to give to the Haitians. And what happens? Not a goddamn thing. Only a couple of houses say they were going to build houses. There was a big expose on it. And the excuse that the American Red Cross said, they were saying, well, they had to do administrative costs. Administrative costs. Can you believe this? Can you believe this? So here it is. You don't hear nothing from the American Red Cross. Now, they're out the game. But you think from on a federal level that they would do something about it to try to help the people, trying to figure this way out. Because we understand as Americans, right? Because, quote unquote, this is a nation of immigrants. So you think they would have a heart towards the Haitians that are coming in, trying to have a better life. But no, not just some stand facilities set up and trying to figure out what's going on in Haiti and trying to see what they can do in Texas or any other neighboring states. Now, they are packing them into airplanes and sending them right back into the hellhole. Now, what happened to all that good-hearted, good-natured work as human beings, as Americans, because we are a nation of immigrants, and we want to have our doors open or help other countries in whatever way possible? Hell motherfucking no. Hell motherfucking no. They ain't trying to do all that. All that PR business went out the window years ago, and how they really feel is to send these Negroes right back to Haiti, right? Oh, shoot. You don't have a house to live in Haiti? Haiti? Sucks to be you. Oh, you don't have a working government in Haiti? Oh, sucks to be you. You don't have any water in Haiti? Psh, I don't know what we're going to do about it. Oh, you don't even have any food for your babies or anything like that. Well, you know how it is. And sending these people right back to Haiti. So all that goodwill business, even let's say even everything went according to plan with the American Red Cross. Remember, there was a fundraiser with Bush and Clinton, and I think it was also Obama at the time. they were raising money. We never know. Nobody asked the Bush and Clinton what happened in that money. Matter of fact, there's even some video of Haitians that curses out the Clintons because of the fact that they said they were going to give money and nothing ever happened. Now here it is. Let's say all of that went according to plan, and this still happened. That still tosses out all that good work that America was trying to give back to the poor, suffering Haitians, right? Nothing, absolutely nothing. Now look at that. Afghans could come in, but all of a sudden we got a problem with Haitians coming to the country. Because, hey, man, we could call it racism. We could call it white supremacy. We could say they got as the word that goes around the complexion for the protection. All right. So even if, hey, they could come in and if we have some biracial babies, they won't be too dark. But don't let the Haitians come in. Oh, hell no. Now everybody's is calling out the White House, and what do we hear from the White House? We hear, well, and then in this whole thing with the whip thing, like it's going around talking about these Haitians are being whipped, and I'm looking at some of the video, I'm looking at some of the pictures, and it looks like a whip, but some people can argue, okay, those were the horse reins, but either way, if the horse reins were using to hit the people with, it has bad optics, especially coming out of a southern state like Texas. Now, like I said, didn't Texas lock up all those kids? Didn't Texas, those politicians over there in Texas struck a new rule for abortion, saying women can't get an abortion, doesn't matter if they're raped or not? Man, Texas looking real good right now. Their PR team is looking fantastic. So now we got this situation where the White House is saying, well, we don't condone any of the whipping that was happening to these immigrants that's coming into the country. Okay, so now what else? You tell me now what else? Anything else? Okay, so you don't condone it. So what's the next step after all that? Well, so what's the next step after you feel that you want to correct what's going down there in Texas? What is the next step? I don't hear nothing, a peep. I don't hear a pin drop that's coming out of the Biden administration. Hey, you know what? I don't know how this got out of hand, but we're going to set something up temporarily so we can get these folks together. And we're going to contact the Haitian government and see, because it's terrible what's happening in Haiti. We're going to say, no, nothing. Because they ain't got nothing to give. Haiti ain't got nothing to give. So sucks to be them. So it's a sad case what's happening over to all my Haitian brothers and sisters over there. This is how it gets down. So my thing is, and I put this out on my IG. And another thing, oh man, I'm so tired. I'm about to post it. They tried to ban me again yesterday. And that's a whole nother subject, and I go down. I don't want to move into that subject matter. I'll talk about it on the next show, or whatever. Yeah, it's stupid. So I'll put that on there. I'm not going to talk about hopes and prayers, or prayers and hopes, or whatever for the Haitian people. No, they need more than that. People don't need I hope they do all right. But see, that's why I even said with Lyfeblood. So I always promoted Lyfeblood. It's a crowdfunding site where people can trade dollars and more to each other in order to help live their dreams. But Lyfeblood is more than that. And I posted that right there on IG. They have the technology where you have high-rise buildings. I think it was a company out in Japan. China, I believe it was. I forget which one it was. All I remember is there was the Asian writing. So I think it was China. It could have been Taiwan, whatever. But these small model buildings were built on some sort of a spring system. I don't want to even say spring system. Some kind of a padding that it can actually sway in the direction or to the movements of the earth. So they had two buildings, one that was a solid building structure. Of course, it were small models, right? And right next to it was this new technology that was introduced to these buildings. This is kind of old because I saw a news show article talking about, Japan or this Asian country, they're having earthquakes, but their engineers are trying to figure out ways where we can keep these buildings from falling. So this small model next to the solid structure one, where they were sitting on some sort of padding that kind of swayed in the directions back and forth to the movement of this tectonic plate or whatever region of the earth. Of course, in this model was sitting on this platform, but and then on the top of these models were containers of blue liquid. So of course, the one without this technology, the water was just going everywhere. It was just going every which way. But on the model that had the swaying padding, the water was totally still because it was the ground that was moving, but not the building. Because and I wish I had the right terminology. I'm sorry, folks, because I saw this video and I posted it. This is how Lyfeblood wants to even help in ways that is beyond crowdfunding. Lyfeblood is more than that. That's why I want to talk to people in engineering and in science and different disciplines, that if you have new ideas, new inventions that you could bring into Lyfeblood, and we can build it up, build the prototype, and then we can distribute it to the public in whatever way. Even partner with other companies that have great inventions so we can get it out to the people. Because a lot of times these inventions are created, but then all of a sudden what happens is, we know it, the technology is too good. All of a sudden a company comes along, buys it, and it sits on the shelf collecting dust. And this great invention never sees the light of day. And we find out that this new technology was about 50 years old. No. What we want to do is partner with other companies. We want to build that financial base, that financial ground where now we can present ourselves, or we can partner with other companies. We can go on, speak with officials in Haiti and say, hey, how can we get this built? And then we can build the funding, pull the funding as we can on Lyfeblood.com, and we can put it towards building sustainable, environmentally friendly, I wouldn't say earthquake proof, I think I put that on my IG, but somehow dealing with these, if we have another earthquake episode, so Haiti doesn't go through this again. So not about hopes and prayers, but actually instituting or implementing some new technologies and methodologies where we can keep the Haitian country from falling to dust if another earthquake happens. That's what Lyfeblood wants to do. That's how we want to get in touch with people down there, and not just in Haiti, but whatever it is around the world. That's how we deal with what's happening in Haiti, and not just in terms of engineering or building structures, whatever, but also on a social level, or how we're going to get things back together for Haiti and keep it moving along. But at the end, because at the end of the day, it's about money. They need the money so they can they have a people that have the expertise, have the background, have the knowledge that are coming from these Haitian colleges and universities. They just need funding. And there's a lot of American folks that are in those specific disciplines that would love to go to Haiti and help out. How can we do that? Yeah. So that's what we're building here, and it's going to be one brick at a time. So when I talk about Lyfeblood, yes, it is in the crowdfunding family, but it's more than that. It is so much more. You guys are only getting one tip of the iceberg here. This is $1 billion company. Matter of fact, this is $1 trillion company. And we're going to do this right. Okay, so the next one, man, Nicki Minaj, man. You know, I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time since I first heard, yo, what is going on? Oh, yeah, the woke community's on fire, man. They're backing Nicki all the way. Nicki was saying that, you know, she was saying something online where her cousin's friends, pen pals, adopt a mother in Kiev, Ukraine, saying she got a polka dot problem all over her body from getting from the vaccine, all right? And they simply were saying, and I forgot her name on news. Her name is, I forgot her name. Everybody's the sister, the black lady that has her own show. I forgot her name. Anyway, she was kind of saying to like, Nicki, come on, this is not the way to do it. This is not how we do science, you know. And I agree with her. We cannot go off into when it comes to something as serious as a pandemic, something as serious as a vaccine, something where it's reaching millions of people, we cannot go on my cousin's friends, next door neighbors, you know, dog barked a certain way, and we think that it wouldn't be great for humans. That's not how we do science, man. That's not how we talk to the public, man. And I respect you as an individual, as a person, as an artist. You have a right to say what you want to say, but you have to be careful because you know why, Nicki? You have a platform where you're reaching millions of people. And the reason why the White House called you is because the fact that you're reaching millions of people. And we're already inundated with nonsensical bullshit that's floating around on social media. And then to have someone else that has the reach that you do to say that my cousin's, you know, homeboys, you know, paraplegic daughter that came in from, nah, man, that's not how we do things. Now, if you want to direct people to listening to some people that has the expertise and the knowledge and the years of training and the background of them doing the work. Like, check this out. This is also going around right now. I actually downloaded this, man, because sometimes they could be funny. Try to listen to, and you could YouTube this, Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee. Put that in, excuse me. That was posted 9/17/2021. It's actual scientists and people in those backgrounds with years of study and research that's talking about the issues with the vaccine. I'm sure there's more than just issues, but at least you can get these group of people that have no agendas and they're just talking about the facts, talking about the science, talking about the research, and then leave it to you to figure out what should be our next step. That's what I'm talking about, but not what Nicki was doing, man. And a lot of people are backing Nicki, so that's why we can't have them silence Nicki, because nah. And then Nicki, of course, she got her feelings hurt, right? So she came in reflexively and just started like throwing lashes out. Nicki, it's okay, man. Check the ego. It's all good. We do not need to do that. And if I have 25 million, 30 million people on my IG, I have to be extra careful that I'm saying something that especially when it comes to something as serious as COVID-19, these vaccines, that I'm saying the right information. Now, I mean, depending on who it is, they can still snatch it off, but at least you can never say that I'm giving you some BS juicy gossip that my friend saying, oh yeah, that's right. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to y'all. You know what I mean? So yeah, Nicki, that's not the way that we should do things. All right, yo, the Verzuz, man. Verzuz. Oh, shout out to Verzuz. Shout out to Timbaland. Shout out to Swizz, man. They put on another hot one. Fat Joe versus Ja Rule. I wasn't sure if this was going to be it, but yeah, they did their thing, man. They both had some bangers. I forgot how many joints that Ja Rule had. Now, I got my personal feeling on who I should back. I have my personal feeling. And I say, to me, the winner of that joint was Fat Joe. Fat Joe was doing his thing since, gotta flow, Joe. Gotta, come on, man. Joe's been doing his thing since back in the day, and he's still. Now, of course, Ja Rule, he was wrecking shop back in the day, back in the 2000s. But, Joe kept going, and it's consistency. He kept coming with it, and, he's got joints up to now. But I give it up to both of them. But to me, the one had the fire, whether it was a crossover song, whether it's something that was for the streets of hip hop. And we talking about, of course, when you had, all of the people that he worked with before. Now, shout out to Big Pun, man. He was a beast. It's unfortunate of his untimely passing. But, come on, man. You got to give it up. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. They talking about the next one, of course, is going to be, now we're going to get into the producer section. And we're going to go back to producers. So we got JD, you know what I mean? Jermaine Dupri versus Diddy. Now that's going to be ill. I'm going to tune in for that. Good thing it's not in New York, because then they saying that, Diddy got home court advantage and you can't have it in Atlanta because then JD got home court advantage. And I think they talking about the Staples Center in LA. Nah, that's going to be, yo, I can't wait. I can't wait for that, man. I cannot wait for that. I tell you, boy, because maybe I got a New York. But I appreciate music in general, but I listened to that joint with Fat Joe and Snoop and JD and Diddy was on it, and Diddy was getting at JD and he was playing all his joints. Already I was like, what? That's the New York bias. You know what I mean? But you can't take it down to LA because they're gonna be like, huh, Biggie? We don't know no Biggie, because it's different energy. So it's good is that they taking it out to LA, man. I wonder if that was Snoop's deal. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that. And related to that, of course, with Verzuz, there was a lot of controversy that was going on with Fat Joe. I guess Fat Joe got caught up in a lot of the of course, the battle. Because let me tell you something, a missing a piece of hip hop is the battle. The battle was something that was sacred back in the days, back in the 80s and the 90s, in the golden era of hip hop. And it kind of started weaning around, say, like the late 90s or something like that, 2000s. Hip hop at the time was crossover. And it wasn't so much a concentration on lyrics, but there was a time where if you had to get on as an MC, you had to go to your local bars. Everybody know that in New York. That's something that's specific in New York, of course, because hip hop is the mecca. So in order for you to be respected as an MC, you had to know how to control the crowd. You had to have some slick lyrics. You had to have some analogies and being expert in the wordplay. And if you couldn't control the crowd with the lines that you was putting together, it was pulling you off the stage, not just booing you off the stage, but you couldn't get no play. But then of course hip hop grew, and then battling became less of a thing. Now you still have people, the fans of hip hop, that they do have some hip hop battles where I forget the names, but they're out there circulating. But one thing that I have a problem with as far as that is concerned is that it got too much gun business. Again, that's not battling. You know what I mean? Back in the 80s and 90s, it was more than, I got a gun, I'm gonna shoot you, blah, 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 how many guns I got. It was the wordplay. It's how you expertly put sentences together that was clever, and for people to be like, do you hear what he said? Whether it was written or whether it was off the top. But then kind of battling kind of switched up, and as we see it today, when you go on YouTube, it's like, who's like the biggest gangster? I'm like, wait a second. I hope these young dudes know that this wasn't battling back in the day. So again, it needs to switch, and let's get back to the rhythm. But anyway, so Fat Joe got into the whole battling mode and thing, and he shouted out like he was talking about some dusty bitches, and he said some craziness towards Ja and his team, and they took it some type of way. So Lil Mo, of course, she said her piece on it, and she was like, she didn't really appreciate what he was saying, and she was like, yo, Ja is he got his peoples on there, like oh my God, Vita and oh my God, let me see, because I'm not gonna forget her name. Baby, I forgot her name. She was looking nice that day too, man. That night she was looking good. Let's see. And I know y'all are screaming at right now at the radio or wherever you listen to, saying, it's her. What? This is crazy. I forgot this girl. I forgot her name, man. Oh yeah, okay. No, not Lil Mo. No. There you go, Ashanti. Yeah, man, there you go. She got a song called Baby, Baby, Baby. I don't know why they didn't pop up. I ain't see no Ashanti on here. I don't know why my thing is acting up. Anyway, so Ashanti there, she was saying all that. And yeah, man. So Lil Mo said some things, and Joe got on it right quick, and he was like, "Yo, my bad." So he was apologizing. I'm like, "Damn, man, my man apologizing a lot." But we got on the first round. But he wanted to kind of control how this was getting out there and make sure that people, he didn't really mean it in that way. And I understand that. I get that. I totally respect that. You don't want to, all of a sudden, how we understand how word get out quick now. Next thing people want to cancel. There's cancel culture, and then all this stuff happens. So I know he was trying to really get in control mode there. Disaster control mode. The other thing was, the N-word. He was saying that a lot, and that came out, and then people was like, why is he saying it? Look, now I'm speaking to the governance structure. Everybody knows the governance structure. We're talking to each other, and I'm getting that terminology from Dr. Carr when he's on the show with talking about narrative and with Sharon. Excuse me, and I want to get that right. What is going on with my mouse? My mouse been tripping. Right now, I can't get it to respond. It's acting real slow. I don't get this. The Karen Hunter Show. Okay, so every Saturday, Dr. Carl talks with Karen Hunter. Excuse me. and just talk about knowledge and things. And then when he talks about the governance structure, who are Africans and who are black people to each other, and how we really need to move as far as the movement of memory and taking care of the knowledge, the history of not just the long history from all the ancient Africa, but also our recent history in the last 400 years, and how we have to, when we piece our lives back together, we have to be careful how we do that. And that a part of that is how we treat each other, how we move about each other. So I'm talking about the governance structure right now. I'm talking about hip hop is concerned, right? So anybody's listening to this is non-black. It's all good. You know, you're gonna listen to this. So the N-word is it's a complicated subject matter, and it's been going back for a long time. I mean, it got to the point when, remember back in the day when Jay-Z was talking with Oprah, and Oprah was asking him questions why he uses the N-word, and he says, well, it's a term of endearment. It's what we do in hip hop, and you know, Oprah simply said, nah, that's not what we do. You know, I'm never gonna say that word, and you know, Jay felt some type of way, but it's something that we've dealt with for a long time, and it's a complicated, layered issue. Some that half of black folk don't want to use the word, and the other half of black folk saying, hey, we should take that word back, and we should use it as a term of endearment. And then, of course, hey, man, I already have my feelings about that. And then, of course, you have the Latino community, they say it. And then, of course, you're going to have some white folks that say, well, why Latino people use it? Partly, and it's a layered, complicated subject. And as what I can give you is that they was born in the struggle, in the hood, right along with black people. Not just the fact that in terms of proximity, physical proximity to each other, and us sharing the culture and being there, but also to the fact that a lot of Latinos share our blood. So you have people that they have the abuelas and abuelos, and they black, and you know, you could go to Puerto Rico and you see them as dark as they come, brown skinned, and then of course they what do you call it, mix up with other light skinned people, and then that's why there's a variety of shades in Puerto Rico. Not just Puerto Rico, you have Dominican Republic, and then you have in a situation where you have a dark skinned Latino or Latina saying the N-word, and it's like, okay, I understand. And straight, some of them just look like black people, right? So it's cool. But then you have the white skinned Latino that says, and it's like it's physically disturbing. It's like, whoa, because even for the black folk that's in that circle in that moment, hear it from a light skin or white skin Latino, and the Latino's like, yo, I grew up like this too. So you hear him say it still blows back black people in that vicinity. It's like, huh? So some of them kind of adjust, and others it's uncomfortable. But then slowly but surely, that's when you're in your teens. But slowly but surely, as you grow up, there's a lot of Latinos or white skinned Latinos. It's like, man, I was bugging. Or I mean, I can understand why that could be jarring for some black people and some other darker skinned Latino. Why I'm saying the N word, and some of them stop saying it altogether. Because there's one brother that I know, he was a good dude, and he wasn't mixed with anything, but he was Colombian. And he grew up in hip hop, and he was saying early on, he said it, right? And then it disturbed a lot of people. And then eventually he came to me, and he was like, yo, Nova, my bad. You know, this is many years. He's like 30 at that point. He's like, yo, I was tripping, man. There was no reason why I should be saying that word as a white-skinned Colombian dude that I am, and it was jarring to a lot of people, but I understand the history of the word, and you know what, I've taught myself, and I told myself I would never use that word again. That's a word that me as a person within my skin don't have that ability to say. I don't have that card that what's the word I'm looking for? Pass to say that word, because I know what the word means to black people. So yeah, my bad if I ever insulted you. And I told her, I was like, yo, it's all good, man. I get it. And you know what? I appreciated that he had growth, because as a black person, I don't like saying the word. And there's a whole bunch of, don't listen to these goddamn rap artists, all right? Don't listen to these fucking celebrities, because there's a whole ton of black people that don't like using a word that's even in my age group. Some of them, they ain't never use a word, and some of them are saying, you know what, I'm not gonna use that word no more. I'm just gonna switch up myself. And there's a shout out to some people that in Queens, some folks that I know back up in Rochdale Village that work in the offices. Back in the day, there's some grown ass black people that don't say it. They call each other by their last names. That's how they address each other in the offices, even outside. They've gotten used to that where they don't even say the N-word. They just call each other by their last name. Like, what's up, Mr. Hendricks? What's going on, Mrs. Jones or Mr. Peterson, whatever. That's how it is. There's a lot of black people that don't use the word because we understand the history and the weight of the word and what it means and why it was created and how it's kind of passed on from generation to generation. So we get the science behind that. And we decide not to use the word. And there's a lot of people in hip hop that has that same discussion. But again, it's not something that you can change people's minds on in that moment of that discussion. And there's a lot of things that we just deal with. We just move along with. But then when you have the Latino community come in and you have the white skinned ones that saying it, and you know, Fat Joe is Cuban and Puerto Rican, I think. It's jarring. I'm not gonna front. It's like I'm like, oh man, that's real. I mean, shoot, we having our own issue. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying? And you know what? It's all good because it's called growth as a person. Because there's a lot of things of music that I listened to when I was 18, 17, I listen to now. I'm like, God damn. That is kind of rough. That's aggressive. You know what I mean? So I'm like, damn, but of course when we're young and we're 17, we don't know no better. We like the music that we like. But then you grow older and you change and you get wisdom and you're like, oh yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? So notice that he didn't say that word when it was Snoop and JD and Diddy and all of them that was on the IG Live. I noticed he didn't say it. So he had this conversation. He had this, and even when Swizz got on there and Timbaland, he didn't say it. So I think he had a private conversation like, you know what I mean? Because I ain't hear that one word and N-word come out of his mouth. Snoop was saying it. Diddy was saying it. JD was saying it, but he didn't say it. So, you know, shout out to, I still got love for Fat Joe, man. He hip hop all the way. Shout out to Fat Joe, man. Love his music, man. Big ups to you, brother. All right. The next topic. Yo, speaking of craziness in hip hop, I don't know how these things hit me, right? Yo, so it's funny as hell. I saw this little piece with Aquafina. Yes, Aquafina. Everybody knows Aquafina, the Asian actor that with her hip hoppity name. You know what I mean? It's funny that Aquafina was doing a press junket for Shang-Chi. And I guess the interview was asking her about her black accent and what it meant to her, especially when she made a statement in a 2017 interview. And she says where she refuses to do accents. And I say this, and I quote, she says, "I make it very clear, I don't ever go out for auditions where I feel like I'm making a minstrel out of my people." And yet she did the black accent. So it was all good for, she's very self-aware when it comes to not, and especially when she used the word minstrelsy, because she understands the concept of the word minstrelsy, making a joke out of other people by how you carry yourself, by imitating them. She understands that. She understands what it means by not making the Asian people look like jokesters, not belittling them in any way, by fitting them in some stereotypical box when it comes to the big screen, right? But yet she did it for black people. She did the black accent in a couple of movies, as a matter of fact. I forgot which ones it was, 2 other movies. And the interviewer asked her, she was, she didn't know what she would say. She didn't know how to take that, man. She didn't know how to take that. You know, now she's going on to bigger and better movies with Disney. All of a sudden, there is no accent. I found that totally hilarious, man. Let me tell you something. All right, so I'm not here knocking on Aquafina because look, she's from New York, right? And as a New Yorker, I know what it is to take on the culture of the moment. To take on the culture that is the trendy, hot, in culture of the moment. Of course, we know what that culture is. That's hip-hop culture. Everybody's a part of hip-hop culture, right? When it comes to New York. There's a variety of different races and ethnicities that, of course, the main music of the day when you go to the club is hip-hop. Listen, even in the back bayou of the United States of America, and you think that you're going to deal with some quote-unquote right? And you like, sure, as a black person, should I be here? And ain't wearing, coat. And here we go. We can put it in the stereotypical sense where they weren't wearing the camouflage flannel bubble vest with the trucker hat and missing teeth and all that down there in Kentucky, right? So we think, I don't know if I should be here, right? And you think they're gonna throw a hole down in a square dance, and all of a sudden they flip on the freaking radio and it's hip hop music. So it's like, you know what I mean? So we know the driving force in this culture is hip hop culture, right? In America, especially in New York. So as a person of Asian descent, she's going to listen to hip hop. She's going to be a part of that culture. And sometimes she's going to go in the vernacular, same way where we code switch, right? Where black people speak a certain way in the office, and then all of a sudden we get around our own folks and we speak another way. All right, it's just kind of similar in ways where she can be aware of her growing up in hip hop culture, listening to rap music, and then she's gonna have these conversations with her friends. Now, of course, she went to the nth degree when she did this role. I can only imagine it, right? The director saying to her, "You know what, Awkwafina, could you just be a little bit more black? Because you're from that rap stuff. That's what you listen to. That's your character." And I can actually see her face like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Because she's doing a thing, right? She's a quote unquote actress. But here we go, where she did some double talk, some more of that hip hop for hip hop eponymous, hypocrisy business. She got caught out there. And she didn't know how to respond. Because you can't do that and talk about how you're going to defend Asian culture and make sure that Asians are seen in the best light, and all of a sudden you're going to just use the black scent to your specific need at the moment and toss it like a pair of socks, and all of a sudden your accent gone. Now, if she was born in the hood and that's how she talked off the mic and on the mic, that is what it is. But when she talks like that, she's very well aware the type of way that she wants to talk to be more palatable to white America. Okay, so yeah, I find that kind of of course the judge is it's still out on what do you call it, fuck. You see how I am, you see I'll be messing these lines up. The jury is still out on Awkwafina because she didn't really get back to it. I didn't see her say anything on Twitter to follow up or anything like that. So let's see how she's gonna get down. Yeah. All right. So last thing before we get out of here. It's a funny thing. I wasn't even supposed to talk about Awkwafina. I was supposed to talk about something else, but it's all good. I wanted to talk about it, but I'll talk about it next time because I thought it was interesting. And I'll say this, man. It was about electric cars. I was out on the block in the city, and I heard a car come up behind me. Right? I heard a car come up behind me, and it did not sound like an internal combustion engine car. Now, I know you're probably thinking, oh man, you heard a Tesla, right? I heard an EV. But I knew this wasn't a Tesla. You know why? Because I know how Teslas sound, and this car sounded very like almost like Kit in a way. And I can hear that it was an EV car. And so it was. And when I looked at the car, it was a Volkswagen. I'm like, what? And the guy saw me staring the driver, and he just waved at me, and I was like, oh snap, I caught myself looking too hard. This guy was driving the Volkswagen ID.4. This thing is already on the streets. I'm telling you folks, we are here. The future is now. These major car manufacturers that was knocking Tesla, knocking Elon Musk, they are here and they are introducing their own cars. And yeah, you're going to be like, yeah, but there was a Leaf. No. When you have the major car manufacturer like Volkswagen, like BMW, like Mercedes, like Toyota, like all these other car manufacturers, Lexus they're switching over, man. And I read an article saying one of these car companies, they're even doubling their production to get their car out on the road. So that's going to be interesting. I'll talk about that. But what I really want to talk about is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin took another hit, all right? Bitcoin took another, I think it dropped, 8 points or something like that. So 8 to 10 points. So the whole crypto market came tumbling, right? Tumble again. Not as bad as before, but it tumbled. So I'm like, why did it tumble? And of course, I always think because I'm a cryptocurrency person. Everybody knows that I had that the show last week talking with my man, Mr. McCormick, about his company, D-Chained, and the cryptocurrency and everything like that. And I'm a backer of that. I'm like, okay, people are going to use this as reason to jump ship, right? But of course, people didn't. When I looked at it, I was like, oh, it didn't really dip that much. But I was like, okay, what is exactly affecting this market? And I actually looked it up, and he said this company called Evergrande. Anybody ever heard of Evergrande? I never heard of Evergrande. So they're saying that Evergrande is one of the leading real estate companies in China, and that it got to the size that it did because it was borrowing money. I think about $300 billion from 171 banks and 121 other financial institutions. So Beijing instituted, the government, new rules to control the amount of money big real estate developers were holding. They thought that companies like Evergrande could run away from itself and it could be a big problem. So this caused Evergrande to offer some of their properties up, to give it off, to offload some of it so they can be liquid, right? But here's a problem. They had a problem handling their interest payments, even though they are offloading some of this property. Now, they're saying the side effects of this issue was a lot of people paid for properties that Evergrande was going to build, and they were afraid they were going to lose the money that they invested into Evergrande by them offloading some of the property and whatever that may happen to Evergrande. The other problem is they say Evergrande has an international supply chain that deals with a variety of different construction and design firms and suppliers. And of course, again, taking this hit could be an issue to with all these other related interconnected firms. Another issue saying they're tied to so many banks and firms, as I said before, 171 banks and 121 other financial firms that Evergrande owes money to. And they're saying Bitcoin is a risk asset, and where there's a problem in the broader market that Evergrande is involved with, there's going to be an indirect negative effect in the crypto market to these digicoins. And until Chinese property fears stabilize, Bitcoin will continue to be unstable or be negatively affected by companies as large as Evergrande. So, there was somebody that shared this on Twitter, and I actually had a saying here. Let me bring it up because I was like, okay, interesting. I understand where Evergrande is coming from. I get it. People are going to be scared. They're going to lose money in one place, and if they're holding money in another, that this can be a big problem. And of course, the first place that people are going to get their money back from is, of course, the crypto market. And this is how all these other digicoins got affected. But I'm like, I simply said, and it had nothing to do with what this person said. And I simply said, let me see if I get to this dude. And I forgot what the guy actually said. Let me see if I can bring it up. Sometimes people tweet so much you kind of lose sight of these things. So the guy says, I think this is the attached message. Gentle reminder that BTC Bitcoin typically sells off in near term with global macro uncertainties, but the major issues brewing around the world right now are exactly what Bitcoin was built to protect and to protect us against. And I made a statement I was saying, well, what happened to Bitcoin in our global market is funny. I don't and do understand why. The disturbance to Evergrande should have no place in the crypto market. It's like a quasar sputtering out in another part of our Milky Way, affecting our oceans. These are two separate things. So one gentleman that actually did agree, and he gave me explanation. And it's not so much of the explanation of what I was unsure of with how Bitcoin was being affected, but more so because of the fact that why should it? Why should what's happening to Evergrande and all the bad investments all they made, all the money that they borrowed, they have become, it sounds like they're too big to fail. They took on too much debt, and all of a sudden now they got bloated, and the government saying you got to offload it. This is going to be too much of a problem. What should one have to do with the other? That's the old market. That's the old way of doing things. We're stepping into a whole new ground, whole new territory with the crypto market, with Bitcoin, with Cardano, with Dogecoin, with all the other coins that are out there. I have a few that I'm invested in. What does that have to do with the crypto market? It should have no effect. I get it. It's all these fears that people are holding on to the old ways. It's kind of dictating how they're behaving in the crypto market. Don't worry, man. Just let it go. Let go. So where rules work in one place is not going to work in another. It's kind of like when in two different cultures. Where one joke can work in America, you go to in the middle of India, they won't understand. They won't get the context. So you'll try to tell a joke to them, and they're looking back at you with a straight face. And it's in the same in the same concept. Where it works in one environment, the economic system that we understand and that we live by today should have no rumblings in the crypto market whatsoever. Because not only does it protect against things like that, it just totally moves different. It's like another dimension, right? What you do in one dimension has no effect on the other. So I think we have to learn, or the people that have invested in the crypto market, and a lot of these big companies, a lot of people are dumping massive amounts of money in there. Be calm. Be cool. We're writing a whole bunch of new rules here. This is still very new. And what you think can have a negative effect in the crypto market, that's you moving badly. That's not the market. That's you moving. You have to be willing to let that go. And now we're going to be writing these new rules as we move forward. However, in ways that we don't even understand, as it takes on this another metamorphosis, the crypto market, as it gets bigger. You understand what I'm saying? As we move on from one decade to the next, because I don't even think we fully understand where we're going with the internet. So now with the crypto market, we don't fully understand where it can be. We have ideas where we want it to go, and it can't go there. But man, we got to let live and let go, because we're going to see what's going to happen in the next 10, 20, 30 years. And we're going to look back on them like, man, really? We were still dealing with the horse and buggy? You know what I mean? All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I do appreciate you listening to me ramble on. It's been about close to 50 minutes. Please log on, be a Lyfer, be a part of Lyfeblood.com. We're here not just to build an economic base. We're here also to start creating solutions for the problems that face us as human beings today. And we're going to only do that through putting our minds together, and we're going to do that as far as our economics is concerned. So there's nothing that we can do for right now for Haiti, but for future islands, for future countries, let's see how we can put our minds together and figure out our problems, and then we can allocate certain fundings for people. And again, I'm being very vague on that. There's a lot of different ways where we're going to apply Lyfeblood.com, but I want you to join in, jump on board here, and I'll show you where we're going. So we're unlike any other social media platform that's out there. We're going to do things that are human focused. So thank you again for listening. I'll see you guys next week, or talk to you guys next week. Be well, and build and grow and grow and grow. Be better people. All right, folks, I'm out. Peace.
Yo, check it.
You just listened to GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com for the global community.
We worldwide, baby.
See you in the next go round. From right here to your town, we out.